credit here is for being married to the director.
Hi, Johnny Utah.
Early versions of the script had this character.
I mean, they vanish.
I just realized that the dialogue of this movie supplied half the world's watch list with their own personal catchphrases.
Anytime you two are finished jerking off watching MTV.
Those cops disrespect those other cops cliche.
Man, L.A. has changed a lot during that time. The air got dirty and the sex got clean.
What the actual Is this a period piece? Is this pre-1981 before AIDS? Also, if you look at the screenwriter's picture on the IMDb, that explains it.
Well, maybe I can do better than some over-the-hill burnout.
Keanu Reeves' performance in this movie accidentally inspires the birth of Paul Walker, and the movie itself inspired The Fast and the Furious, so it was only a matter of...
Is this gonna take a really long time?
Tyler would be amazing at cinema sins. So Tyler agrees to give surfing lessons to someone who's obviously stalking her. Also, man, this girl must have really been jonesing for someone to teach surfing to, because she's like all in on day one and Too many minutes of surfing lessons. I mean, couldn't the movie have just started here?
That's Bodhi. They call him the Bodhisattva.
Is that the new Kula Shaker song? Also, Utah doesn't ask what the hell that means because, quite frankly, he's still trying to figure out what the other words meant.
That's a surfboard, all right.
Johnny stumbles on the whole gang of thieves after a day of surf training. And maybe it's supposed to be 2 weeks for all I know. But in that case, I'm still sitting the convenience that Tyler and Bodhi know each other. Out of all the surfers in LA, this is the guy Utah's looking for.
Good catch.
And that's all it takes to undercover cop your way into this gang. The number of vehicles with their lights on required for this night beach football game. Movie unintentionally inspires The Replacements. Utah gets hit by several blocks while Bodhi runs full speed and still catches up to him. Taking sports too seriously.
Don't you know who this is?
First off, why would he? But second off, why doesn't he? Wouldn't there have been a small introduction before playing this game?
This is Johnny Utah.
We were going to kick his ass, but because he's a pseudo-celebrity from 3 years ago playing football for Ohio State, I guess he's okay. Also, these surfers remember Johnny Utah's college football days, which is awesome for helping him get into this gang, but I'm still hung up on the fact that he's using his real name on an undercover assignment. There's virtually no reason for Johnny's boss to be pissed off right now, other than that cop movies from this era always needed to have a boss who threatens to kick the hero off the case after every scene.
Harp, we're working undercover. It takes time.
You're also working undercover? Since when? What have you been doing?
Over the last 2 weeks, you two have produced exactly squat!
These guys have been robbing banks for a couple of summers now, and the evidence gathered from those investigations didn't produce anything, and I'm pretty sure it didn't lead to all this yelling.
Anyway, what's his problem? We're handling our caseload. I'm surfing on my own time.
Johnny basically proves that John C. McGinley's character is only in this movie to satisfy what the audience expects out of a cop movie.
28 robberies. And what do we get from it?
After all these robberies, why doesn't the FBI have an agent around nearly every bank in the city? Or at least have a couple guys driving around several target areas?
And surfers are territorial. They stick mostly to certain breaks.
They're going to find these guys based on going around to several beaches and plucking hair samples from tons of random surfers, based on the idea that they apparently mostly surf certain breaks. That's pretty convenient.
Latigo Beach. Nice Point Break.
Roll credits. Discount Anthony Kidd, holy sh**. Only in movies made in the 90s or earlier can people get punched 52 goddamn times and show very little effect of said beating. Also, Bodhi Ex Machina.
They only live to get radical. They don't have any real understanding of the sea, so they'll never get the spiritual side of it. It's that place where you lose yourself and you find yourself.
That's deep. Really, you could describe just about anything you enjoy doing and take seriously. World's least conspicuous stakeout shift change ever.
This is bullshit. This is a bullshit lead.
This movie sets up these guys to be assholes, but they are absolutely, totally, 100% right.
Let it be. It ain't me.
80s Party, taking place in the early 90s, has decidedly 70s soundtrack.
Watch yourself, she's a wild one.
AKA, I f***ed her already.
50-year storm. What's that?
That's kind of a legend.
No, it's real. It's absolutely real.
I'm having so much fun at this drunken surfer campfire, I almost didn't even notice the wall of exposition smacking me in the face.
Time for a little stealth mission. You up for it?
This is the only time in movie history I can think of that is actually a parody of itself. Look, a bunch of headlights shining toward the water isn't going to make the freaking water visible. And are these guys always changing out car batteries because of their nighttime beach activities? This looks cool on film, but totally drenches your arm in lighter fluid. And even if you're going to be far enough away when it lights, your arm's still smelling like lighter fluid for the rest of the night, dog.
You don't need to see.
Bodhi is like the Obi-Wan Kenobi of surfing. How does a cop go from cop to surfer that can hang on the gnarliest of waves at night with the god of all human surfers within, like, weeks? I kind of feel like this romance is bullshit. I love how none of his newfound surfer friends bothered to make sure he woke up before the beat cops started walking the beach. Way too long post-coital morning kiss. Somehow, even though Utah was already super late and spent 3 days kissing Tyler, he was able to show up to the raid before it started anyway. Even as strictly backup, it's amazing how stupid the cops are, including undercover Keanu in any way whatsoever in this raid. Way to be stealth, asshole. First, that this cop just pops his face up into the window like this. Second, that this asshole inside doesn't notice it at all. Also, pouring beer on Cheerios makes them Beerios, just FYI. Movie saves money by simply filming an average everyday morning for Anthony Kiedis.
Get Angelo out of there. They're pulling out a f***ing arsenal.
Once again, a simple radio transmission can't be heard because either the radio doesn't work or somebody's mowing the lawn. And does this grass even need mowing? It looks perfect already.
Speak into the microphone, squid brain.
It's almost like the writers of the original Batman series joined forces with the writers of Die Hard 2 and Jimmy Buffett to finish the script. Hero looks at a fractured mirror cliche.
Special Agent Utah. I'd like you to meet Agent Dietz. Works for the DEA. He was working deep cover until you...
Do law enforcement agencies not cross-check with each other before conducting raids so that this doesn't happen? If they don't, I'm sinning real life here. This shot is supposed to be telling me about his continued relationship with the girl and his own personal struggle to sleep due to his professional f***ups. But all I can think about is how 90s the nightstand contents are. I'm wondering, an hour into the picture, is all this surfing footage going to lead to Johnny Utah finding out they're the bad guys? Moon surfing.
You look like you saw a ghost.
Forget about it, kid. They're ghosts.
Two basically unrelated comments that have very little to do with actual evidence lead Johnny Utah to a Dr. House moment about these surfers. Also, is Johnny just now realizing Bodhi and friends might be the heist masters he's looking for? Really? Seriously? Blinded by kindness this dude was.
See his lunch at Patrick's Roadhouse.
Har har, movie inside joke is not hilarious. So does Johnny Utah make an appearance in his own private Idaho later? Actually, he does, a few months later as it turns out.
Hey, that's 2 meatballs, 1 tuna on wheat.
Yep, these are the kind of clueless motherfuckers the FBI sends out on undercover assignments. They like their narcos stupid as posts. This guy is still laughing at the comics while Johnny gets him meatball sandwiches. I'm beginning to think that Harp guy is right about these two assholes. They actually aren't very good at their jobs. Johnny runs at these fools despite him also being undercover with these fools, which means they now know he's a cop, which makes me wonder why Johnny was even on this stakeout to begin with. Johnny Utah has stormtrooper aim. Longest parking garage ever. While switching cars for a quick getaway, it's a good idea to not only torch the original getaway car, but also another random car at a gas station, and to take way too long doing it, so the cops can catch up and the movie can keep happening. Johnny Utah comes in to save the day and completely blows his already should be blown cover. Instead of shooting the leg, as Keanu learns to do by the time Speed rolls around, Johnny Utah just runs after this fool. I guess for exercise? This foot chase is almost as riveting as dirt. Dog tossing. What is it about 90s movies and staging action sequences in the concrete LA River? Johnny finally encounters gravity and realism and f***s up his leg, leading to the end of the chase that should probably have ended miles ago, but whatever. The 90s. Friendship anger bullets.
What's the other guy look like?
Johnny goes home and immediately phones up the buddy from his undercover surfer bro assignment, which I guess makes sense from the dick's perspective, but from the criminals just ID'd me during that chase perspective, does not make sense at all.
Some other dumb.
Girl who is just demanding answers suddenly switches gears and craves only kisses, because the movie is ready to move on, I guess.
This was never about money for us. It was about us against the system. That system that kills the human spirit.
If that's true, then why not give the money to charity or something? And is the system supposed to learn a lesson about the human spirit from all this? Also, I guess Point Break was kind of the Matrix of its day. Bodhi is Morpheus pulling Keanu Reeves out of his boring job and showing him the truth about the system.
So you trust me?
After that insane speech? Yes. When attempting to stealth kill someone at night, it's best to ensure you and your gun shadow are extra huge on the wall, just for symbolism.
Did your parents die in a car accident?
Because that is the be-all, end-all fact of facts I've decided to build my reality upon.
So I needed you at first, but after that I did.
You.
I agree with the lady.
I wanted to tell you, but I couldn't. I was afraid you'd leave.
Keanu, the actor, ladies and gentlemen.
I want you to know that I've never known anyone like you before in my life.
Even though I barely know you and I f***ed you like twice. Johnny is somehow stupid enough to believe that maybe it's possible Bodhi and his gang didn't ID him during yesterday's big chase sequence.
Johnny, you're about to jump out of a perfectly good airplane.
Bodhi senses that Utah is not cut out for FBI work, that he's just an adrenaline junkie like him. But this guy gets no instructions on how to jump out of an airplane, or when to use his parachute, or anything. 40 seconds of accidentally inspiring terminal velocity. How does he know what to do? How does he know how to move his body in order to join the circle? I feel like we missed the part where Utah talked about his service in the army.
You're Speedster!
Ex-President Robbery Gang predicts future Keanu Reeves movie. Yeah, he's dead. You can't pull your chute that late and not have serious damage just from terminal velocity.
Press play.
Hey, I just took you on a skydiving trip that was amazing. Oh, and by the way, I kidnapped your girlfriend. What was the point of all that? Probably just to have a skydiving scene. Why not? Here's another movie where the hero is motivated to go completely against his moral fiber because a girl he f***ed twice is in trouble.
Don't you see that's why I need Rosie? I could never do that, man. I could never hold a knife to Tyler's throat.
Jeez, a man named Rosie, a woman named Tyler, and anyone named Bodhi. So hard to keep up with this stuff.
I am an FBI agent.
Dig out of the vault.
Bodhi changes the whole protocol for robbing the banks just so he can teach Utah a lesson or something system human spirit. Just doesn't make sense for his character whatsoever. Look, if they were prone to making more and more daring bank jobs, this would make sense, but doing the same robbery over and over for the express reason to not get caught, only to change it now? ludicrous.
Why are we going to the vault? We never go to the vault.
And he didn't even tell his buddies they were doing that either. Why would you take off your mask? Keanu had a bulletproof vest, FYI. You didn't know that? What's wrong with you? Haven't you ever seen a 90s movie? This guy's death scene acting.
You deserve each other, don't you? I mean, you're just as bad as he is.
Other than the out-of-nowhere outburst earlier, Harp is pretty much right. Remember, all this is possible because Pappas sent Utah to go buy some meatball sandwiches, and he was laughing at the comics in a newspaper like a 7-year-old while Bodhi and his crew did another bank job right in front of them. Well, that is a good movie moment, but isn't he fired now? And after that, they let Pappas take Johnny with no questions asked. This movie takes place in reality. Seriously? One of their crew just happens to be in a spot where they lucked out behind Pappas? What was he doing? Talking with the ground crew about how the LA Raiders will never move back to Oakland?
Happens.
Is this movie referencing itself or its late 2015 remake? This here is the worst shot since Greedo was made to shoot first. Now that he's bloody and dying, Roach can now fire dead center on Pappas twice. No, Pappas wasn't wearing a bulletproof vest? This is some Darwin here.
I'm not flying you guys San Felipe, man.
Plane. Start those engines!
Well, you make a convincing argument. I didn't see it that way.
Let's go, man.
Bodhi, for some reason, wants to bring Utah along, instead of just killing the final witness here and now and getting the out of Dodge. After waiting a good several seconds, Johnny jumps out after Bodhi, and miraculously is instantly right on his tail. Here's yet another movie trying to make me think you can survive while opening your chute this late. F***ing lying-ass movie.
But I knew you wouldn't miss a 50-year storm, Bodhi.
All that stuff earlier about these guys being smart and being ghosts when they rob banks just kind of went out the door, didn't it? Hey, I know I might be getting chased by the FBI, but those killer waves in Australia, man.
You gotta go down. You cross the line and people trusted you and they die.
It's amazing after Kenneth Branagh saw any of Keanu's work during this period, he said, Keanu would make a great Don John in Much Ado About Nothing. How does this happen? How is Utah allowed back in the good graces of the cops to go after Bodhi, but not allowed to bring backup? And a helicopter shows up in a minute, so don't tell me he's out here on his own. The plan was apparently, okay, Utah, you go in alone, and we'll send a helicopter in 5 minutes. Hopefully by then you've cuffed yourself to the suspect. If not, I mean, I don't f***ing know.
One wave. My whole life has been about this moment, Johnny.
Well, except for the 30 banks you robbed because of the system, but I get your point. Johnny Utah lets Bodhi out of the cuffs to ride a once-in-a-lifetime wave because movie. Bodhi apparently dies. Johnny walks off without caring and quits being a cop. And scene. Sure, he quits the force because he's going to be fired anyway, but he's also probably brought up on charges, right? I mean, I will if they won't.
May I ask why you felt little Tiffany deserved to die?
You have any idea who you're stealing from? You and your friends are dead!
Tommy, how's the peeping? Tommy, how's the peeping? Tommy.
Think about it like the first time he got laid. It's gotta go. Daddy, are you sure this is right?
Moving in slow motion, feels so good.
That's 2 meatballs, 1 tuna on meat, 2 lemonades, that's $7.84.
My life a quarter mile at a time.
Make Gotham a better place?
Heads down, eyes down!
We're here for the bank's money, not your money. Your money's insured by the federal government. You're not gonna lose a dime.
Headed over to the Australian and the Hawaiian Internationals, and me and Mick are gonna wing on over to London and jam with the Stones.
DC Comics, 56 seconds of logos. Helpful 3D model tells us, yep, there's a baby in there. And it doesn't look like this baby's in any position to be born right now. Hey look, it's John Carter of Krypton.
It's just beneath the central hub, sir.
Carla Gugino is heard and not seen. I I guess since it's a movie taking place on a fictional foreign planet, we're not allowed to question how the flying bug thing knew where Jor-El would come out of the structure, or how it knew that he'd be forced at the last second to make the decision to jump.
Destroy it!
Zod was in perfect position to stop Jor-El from doing this, but just didn't. Can he not call out for the rest of the troops he left on the platform to come help him overpower Jor-El and stop this launch? Hey, 15 minutes in, are we still on Krypton? Yes?
I will find him.
Okay, whatever you say.
I will find him.
Got it.
I will find him.
Dude!
I will find him!
Oh, for f***'s sake. How did these elaborate dick jokes by the visual effects department sneak past the director, the editor, the studio, and the MPAA? Finally. Diane Lane isn't my wife in this scene.
What was I supposed to do? Just let him die?
Fortunately, Clark gets a lot better at letting people die by the end of the movie. Lowering this heavy vessel into the barn basement must have required the help of a few friends, right? This can't be a total secret, can it?
I took it to a metallurgist at Kansas State. He said whatever it was made from didn't even exist on the periodic table.
And that metallurgist was wowed and amazed by the finding and told none of his colleagues.
When that day comes, you're gonna have to make a choice. A choice of whether to stand proud in front of the human race or not.
The time that you do this, however, can't be when I'm about to die in a tornado. Just make sure it's not then. Would simply escorting this dude out of the bar be proof that alien life exists on Earth? Nope, this is a much easier explanation. Also, how did Clark do this in secret? No one heard it or saw it. How does Clark manage to snag a job at one of the most remote, top-secret locations in all the world? Asshole character tells audience he's an asshole by refusing to shake someone's hand cliché. And did Clark decide to wait until the day some reporter woman shows up to go snooping? The way they had him unloading bags at the helicopter made it seem like this wasn't his first day. But if it is his first day, then we have a sin of convenience here because it just so happens to be Lois Lane's first day on the site as well. Clark's super hearing was so strong as a child he had to lock himself in a closet, but he can't hear any sign that Lois is following him in this otherwise completely empty cave.
It's all right, it's all right, it's all right. It's all right.
I'm handsome, see?
To see you standing there having grown into an adult.
Okay, if you want to have Jor-El show up through some magical space technology, that's okay, but why is he saying things like, to see you standing there having grown into an adult, as though he's actually there, seeing Clark? I mean, at least explain something. Toss me some technobabble or something.
If only Lara could have witnessed this.
Wouldn't his mom like to be able to use this technology too? Also, way to undercut the power of the dead father cliche by basically letting Jor-El live through this avatar, interact with Clark, guide him, and generally be a normal father for the rest of the movie.
What if a child dreamed of becoming something other than what society had intended for him or her?
Isn't that the exact plot of Gattaca?
You were the embodiment of that belief, Cal. Krypton's first natural birth in centuries.
And isn't that the exact plot of Children of Men? Of all the worthless things this movie wastes time showing us, there can't be like a 3-second explanation as to how the Superman suit got into this ancient scout ship? Superman is a dick to herds.
Looking for Pete Ross. Do you know him?
Yeah, he works at the IHOP.
Oh, yeah. Who doesn't know the quiet, introverted, commonly named Pete Ross in this town?
I figured if I turned over in those stones, you'd eventually find him.
I wonder how many times Lois said that line before she was finally right that Superman was behind her.
I don't even know why I'm listening to you. You're not my dad.
You're not my dad cliche. Apparently no other strong winds accompany this huge tornado. Also, this seems to be a crazy sunny day for a tornado to form.
Get to the car!
I'll get him.
No.
Yet another situation where Clark could easily have done something and the explanation would not immediately turn to aliens.
Get your mom to the overpass.
While you're under the overpass, tell your mother about the Venturi effect. Then get your mom to someplace other than the overpass. Talk to the hand, Clark. Let a still in his prime and by all indications healthy man die in peace already. Wasn't Clark just at his dad's grave? Is that not the same place as his boyhood home? Why did he have to hitch a ride on a LexCorp truck from one side of Smallville to the other? Did you just want to squeeze in a Lex Luthor Easter egg? This movie has more flashbacks than Memento. These high school kids went all the way out to the truck and tractor repair shop to pick on Clark.
How did you find your way to Earth?
We managed to retrofit the Phantom projector into a hyperdrive.
The details of how you make something from nothing are not important. Zod takes Lois prisoner for reasons unknown, but fortunately she has that key thingy that Superman gave her so she can kickstart the plot again.
The command key, Miss Lane.
How does Jor-El know who Lois is? Even if he somehow tapped into the ship's mainframe already, does Zod's crew seem like the kind of people who program the names of each worthless human prisoner they take aboard into the computer? Or is this projection of Jor-El's consciousness also able to read minds? Honestly, what's the point of even having him die in this story again? Well, I guess it couldn't be a superhero movie without some Jesus imagery and music, could it? Sears and now IHOP. This is a Superman for a new generation, sponsored by all your parents' favorite brands.
The craft he arrived at, where is it?
Oh, come on. Martha's better than this, right? She might as well have said, hey, check the barn. Sure, if you've got the powers, you might as well use them, even when completely unnecessary. Wait, I thought years of soaking in Earth's sun gave Superman his powers, as explicitly stated in the movie. But Zod and his crew were able to jump and fly all around like they've been living on Earth as long as Clark has. No citizens of Smallville were harmed in the making of this scene. Somehow. Do they know that all this throwing each other into buildings is useless? Or do they just like destroying buildings?
The terraforming.
Okay, so later we find out Zod wants to make this a new Krypton because...
So we can suffer through years of pain trying to adapt like your son has?
But who cares? You'd all be better, stronger, faster than before. And these are mostly babies we're talking about here. If Kal-El could do it, then surely everyone else can. Zod learns to focus the cacophony of sounds and sights that come with superpowers in about 3 seconds, which is significantly less time than it took Clark. Why metal pin impression thingies to create snaky, snappy claws? Why not, oh, I don't know, anything else?
All right, everybody, we're leaving.
Only now? Apparently Superman can overcome the weakness of the Kryptonian atmosphere if he just concentrates enough. After Zod blows up 2 ships with no problem, he then goes through a much longer process in order to shoot down this aircraft, and of course allows Superman to stop it. Here's more overuse of the Wilhelm scream. Is this supposed to be a funny death?
A good death is its own reward.
And then she just stands there letting this happen. Why is Lois falling when everything else is getting sucked into the black hole? And then Superman has to fly with all his might to make sure she doesn't get sucked into the black hole. This doesn't make any sense. There are heavy rocks and debris getting sucked into that thing, and Lois falls like she's heavier than all of them. But I guess there had to be a way for Superman to save the day that didn't require reversing the Earth's time or some stupid shit like that. Destruction porn. Superman conveniently drops off Lois right at the exact spot where Perry and the other Daily Planet people ended up. Well, this isn't like the Matrix Revolutions at all. Ah, shit. There goes HBO again. There's no freaking way Lois got here that fast. She was standing with the Daily Planet crew all the way over here, remember? In fact, it's probably impossible she even knows they landed here. Superman really had no choice here if he wanted to save those humans. I mean, it's not like he could have just gouged out Zod's eyes, or merely paralyzed him by breaking his spine, or thrown him across the room and kept fighting the fight he was winning, or used his ice breath power he somehow didn't discover in this movie to freeze Zod's heat ray, or even Zod himself. Also, after throwing each other into countless buildings and taking the fight into space and crushing satellites, Superman somehow ends it with a neck snap. Metropolis wasn't built in a day, but it was fixed in a day.
All Kryptonians were conceived in chambers such as this.
There are fields, Neo. Endless fields, where human beings are no longer born. We are grown.
Now, prisoner 24601, your time is up and your parole's begun. You know what that means.
Can you imagine how people on this planet would react if they knew there was someone like this out there?
You have to understand, most of these people are not ready to be unplugged.
You are not alone. You are not alone.
New logo, same epilepsy. Also 30 seconds of logo. Establishing shots of Washington, D.C. are not complete without at least one monument and one jogger.
On your left.
Also, does Cap need to run laps to stay in shape? Isn't it that concoction of superhero steroids that keeps him powerful even after 60 years of being in a coma? I guess he could have gotten bored, but damn, go fight crime or something.
Don't you say on your left.
The running in the movie started on some bridge crossing the Potomac. How did Steve run the exact same course that Sam was running to lap him 3 times in 3 different locations? They weren't running around the reflecting pool the whole time, that's for damn sure.
Internet, so helpful.
Except for BuzzFeed. This is a funny list of things that Steve needs to catch up on, but who just randomly told him, check out Steve Jobs of Apple Inc.? What you learn may surprise you. Man, so glad they included the latitude and longitude, or else I would have been lost. Is he a superhero or is he born? Because in this opening sequence, it's tough to tell the difference. Warning, ride may cause vomiting. Sure, everything up to this point has been covert, done with a maximum amount of sensitivity.
So it was about time Cap threw his shield through the wheelhouse so that the bad guy could be alerted to his presence. Badass or no, one measly kick is enough to keep Cap from nabbing this guy. Sure would have been great if he had his shield with him right now. Basic playground taunting is enough to enter Cap into this let's fight without weapons cliche. Also, how the f does Cap have time to learn French when he still hasn't even seen Star Trek? What the f is going on? Is Cap not a super soldier with super strength? Cap went toe-to-toe with f***ing Iron Man in the Avengers, so why are regular human dudes suddenly a match for him? Yeah, but what are its coordinates? Oh.
Last time I trusted someone, I lost an eye.
You trusted the safety of Earth to the Avengers you assembled to save New York, even to the point of blowing up a US plane that was gonna bomb New York. So you trust people all the time, ass.
Every week some punk would say, "What's in the bag?" What would he do?
I don't know, Cap. Maybe if you'd let him finish the story, he'd tell you.
Stark? He had a few suggestions once he got an up-close look at our old turbines.
Marvel continues to think merely mentioning the other Avengers in these standalone movies will be all the audience needs to stop wondering why the other Avengers aren't actually helping out in this movie's crisis.
The satellites can read a terrorist's DNA before he steps outside his spider hole.
Even if I'm willing to give you that magic satellite, that also means you somehow have a database with the DNA of every person in the world matched to an identity. And that's not acceptable in any way at all. We've now seen enough movies with Chris Evans in them to start saying Chris Evans is on a motorcycle cliche. Steve goes to learn about himself before learning about Steve Jobs and Apple. Only one little boy recognizes Cap at his own exhibit.
Best friends since childhood. Bucky Barnes and Steven Rogers were inseparable.
Why the f would this childhood best friend and fellow soldier merit his own wing in the Captain America Museum? I know the movie wants to suddenly make Bucky super important, but that doesn't mean the world would have.
The best that we can do is to start over.
Cap just happens to visit his would-have-been girlfriend right before her imminent death. Would we think less of this movie if they didn't have holograms talking to Nick Fury? Is this our future? I hope not. Holograms look awful in every movie, unless they're used for trickery in Thor: The Dark World. Then they just don't make sense.
A breach like this raises serious questions.
Marvel poaches a secondary villain from the best DC movie ever. Even at 193 years old, Robert Redford can still act any of the rest of this movie's stars under the table.
But you gotta get Iron Man to stop by my niece's birthday party.
Iron Man 4, niece's birthday party. No wonder Downey didn't want to do it.
Look who it is. The Running Man.
Arnold Schwarzenegger must have that Benjamin Button condition then.
This is help.
Geez, holograms on the car windshield too? That's not only useless, but what I call distracted driving.
Recommend anesthetic injection.
And also remind you that this high-tech state-of-the-art vehicle is a Chevy. These shady military goons brought in a battering ram instead of, say, I don't know, explosives to destroy this car. I'd like to see these guys shoot out the tires for once. Who knows, maybe they skimped on automatic tire inflation technology and you can kill Nick Fury instead of whatever this is. Why was he even bothering to drive this god car in the first place? Shady government goons take shooting lessons from the projections in Inception. Winter Soldier dude just happens to be waiting for Nick on this random street. Also, he's not only doing his best Joker from Dark Knight imitation, but also waiting all these needless minutes while his underling assassins flail around before stepping in to do the job himself. That seems like a perfectly handy weapon the other bad guys could have used earlier. He brought his lightsaber? That thing cut an escape tunnel through first his unkillable vehicle, and second through the street and into the ground in like 5 seconds. Plus it was able to displace a giant pile of rubble that carving such a tunnel would create. Also, I suppose the Winter Soldier didn't just go ahead and climb down into the tunnel and chase after an extremely injured man with no weapons. He said, I guess my work is done here, and bounced. Captain America is worldwide famous and has his own wing at the Smithsonian, but no fans or paparazzi are staking out his residence at all. It's probably because they respect his privacy, right? Is this the movie's end credits sequence?
That's up to you.
Bad guys finally find their aim when it's surprising to the audience.
Don't trust anyone.
I bet he means that asshole Walter Donovan from The Last Crusade. Also, other people you shouldn't trust. Iron Man, Thor, Hulk, or any of the other superheroes you would instantly call in this situation if you were a logical human being. Captain America is a dick to Office Spaces. Jump down, f***er! What the hell are you giving up for? How far could he possibly have gotten in the last 3 seconds? I mean, this is definitely an elaborate hoax, right? I can't imagine why Marvel would want to kill off Nick Fury, or Samuel L. Jackson saying, I don't want to do any more of these highly profitable movies. Steve pulls out his secret flash drive in full view because I guess he needs reminding that he has this flash drive in his pocket. Some of you may not be aware, but when a person dies, the hospital wheels them into a side room so that that person's employees can silently mourn the carcass for a few minutes.
I need to take him.
Because he's definitely not dead. I mean, why else would Maria Hill be in this movie? other than to take Nick Fury to his secret bunker where he can pop out and introduce us to the events of Avengers 2.
Strike, move it out.
Never before has the timing of a concession vending machine refill job been so perfect. Also, this is either the worst hiding place in the world for a flash drive, or it's a biting indictment on how few people buy Hubba Bubba. Bad guys decide to be annoying and make the elevator stop down every floor to collect reinforcements. Movie villains send regular humans to try and kill Cap in an elevator because the movie doesn't want to f***. It only wants some cheap foreplay.
He's headed for the garage. Lock down the bridge.
Steve manages to run into the garage, get his motorcycle, drive off, and still get to the bridge in time before they lock it down. I'm confused. I know he's super strong and the shield is basically indestructible, but how is the shield also a boomerang? Is the movie saying he's just so gifted with hand-eye coordination that he always throws it perfectly so it careens back to him? Too bad S.H.I.E.L.D. only has one of those hoverplane things.
If someone tweets about this guy, I want to know about it.
Tweeting.
Captain Rogers has information regarding the death of Director Fury. He refused to share it.
So we tried to kill him, rather than arrest him and interrogate him. How did she know to come back to the hospital and check the vending machine? Nick Fury wasn't there anymore, she left before Cap hid the flash drive, and she's not one of the bad guys. Paranoia only works when the shady action makes sense.
Most of the intelligence community doesn't believe he exists. The ones that do call him the Winter Soldier.
Roll credits.
I was escorting a nuclear engineer out of Iran. Somebody shot out my tires.
Definitely not any bad guys then.
The drive has a level 6 homing program, so as soon as we boot up, S.H.I.E.L.D. will know exactly where we are.
The question is, with such an important flash drive, why don't they have a homing beacon that works without booting up?
How much time will we have?
About 9 minutes from now.
9 minutes? For a level 6 homing program? Jesus, how slow is level 3? That is a huge-ass fucking arbitrary window of time. How do we know they're evil, ladies and gentlemen? Because they're in black trucks riding single file and tailgating. S.H.I.E.L.D.'s only available agents to pursue #1 fugitive Steve Rogers are all the way back at headquarters. So I guess Natasha just calculated the drive time from headquarters to the mall to come up with that ridiculous 9-minute window.
Public displays of affection make people very uncomfortable.
Bad guys don't notice obvious incognito good guys because the power of other people's boners is stronger. Funhouse mirror Chris Evans. The coordinates are the same base where Cap was trained, but he's still only slightly cautious. Again, if he'd spent more free time catching up on movies instead of memorizing non-fiction bullshit, he'd know he's walking right into a trap.
There's Stark's father.
Where the f*** is Roger Sterling, assholes? How are you just gonna recast younger Howard Stark and forget all about the badass you had playing the character earlier? Jesus, first they had to trace the drive's origin, then they had to spot the out-of-place fake munitions bunker, then they had to notice the small rush of air indicating a passageway. I'm beginning to think this villain that wants to be found doesn't actually want to be found. Even if her advanced cell phone has an app that can do this, it's still only indicating the 4 most often pressed numbers, not the order they're pressed in. So, Natasha instantly pressing them in the correct order is a middle finger, and I'm just gonna give you one right back.
Shall we play a game? It's from a movie that was really popular.
Steve's seen f***ing War Games before seeing Star Trek.
What we did not realize was that if you try to take that freedom, they resist.
You honestly believe that? Did you sit around in a room somewhere thinking, you know what I love? When people tell me what to do.
The new Hydra grew, a beautiful parasite inside S.H.I.E.L.D.
Why is the evil Hydra science guy's brain computer giving up an exposition dump to the movie's heroes? Is it because the audience needs to be filled in on shit? Okay, let's lure Steve to this place so we can tell him everything about our plan before killing him. Brilliant!
That's impossible. S.H.I.E.L.D. would have stopped you.
Accidents will happen.
Is that what he's calling Nick Fury's death? Because no investigator would consider hot lead blasting through an apartment wall to be an accident. At least I hope not.
Project Insight requires insight. So I wrote an algorithm.
What kind of algorithm?
I don't know, Natasha. Maybe if you let the disembodied brain of Dr. Zola finish, he'd tell you. They survived this. Also, Pierce calculates this plan to ridiculous detail, except the idea that Cap might think quick enough to survive the missile attack.
Call in the asset.
Why not just call in the asset in the first f***ing place? Also, why fire only one missile? That's Captain America, right? Maybe you should think about overkill in this case.
I'm going to go, Mr. Pierce.
Mr. Pierce's maid decides she'll yell through the wall right next door instead of walking 5 feet to see him face to face, because, man, would that ever be bad if she witnessed the Winter Soldier on the other side?
Sorry.
He already cost me Zola.
Actually, you cost you Zola. There was no need to blast the building he was in. You could have easily waited until they got outside for a surprise attack. You could have just gone ahead and used this dude in the first place.
Oh, Renata, I wish you would have knocked.
Villain kills innocent person unnecessarily because it's time for the audience to know he's evil cliché. Hey, I met you once while running, and then again at a recovery group meeting, so I automatically know where you live. I mean, did they even exchange full names? Man, it sure was nice that Steve ran the exact same route that Sam did that one random morning. Useful new friend is useful.
What'd you use, a stealth chute?
No, these.
Top secret army wings, to which I, as a civilian, will instantly be granted access. Or at the very least, my theft of them will be glossed over completely. Passing truck driver honks his horn because assholes who get thrown into traffic are a menace to society. Also, are they saying that the Winter Soldier can fly? Where the hell did he come from? Later we find out there's a Jeep full of bad guys, but that Jeep is way far back in the action. So he didn't come from the Jeep. The Winter Soldier could have taken out this car no problem, with that thing he used earlier to blow up Nick Fury's SUV. But now we have to know how badass he is with the number of unnecessary stunts he can pull off. There should be a tremendous traffic jam going the other way after that huge truck slammed into Sitwell just a second ago. Rubberneckers would be out in force. When your body careens and tumbles across asphalt like this, you get up with most of your skin gone. But in the movie, he only gets a few scratches, because Falcon. Now that the hanging on top of the car cliche bullshit didn't work, now it's time for a grenade launcher, something that could totally have done the job in the first place. Oh, good. You have more of these. I was beginning to worry you only had the one. Anyway, good timing. Okay, so Natasha is running underneath a 4-lane bridge. She's running. Running. More running. Still running. How fucking wide is this bridge, and how long does it take someone to run underneath it? Yeah, Cap, that fall must have made you groggy. We've seen you survive worse, no problem, but sure, you go ahead and take a rest now. You deserve it. Okay, so we know that Steve is in this bus, but the bad guys can't know that he's in the bus. Winter Soldier dude shot Captain America and he went flying over the bridge, but no one was around to confirm where he landed, and they spent the last couple of minutes trying to kill Natasha and Sam. Would this incredibly high-powered weapon be able to fire so many rounds at the bus without at least a few making it through and killing Cap? Because at the bottom of buses are that fucking strong, why are they even bothering to try this? And why aren't more things made out of bus bottoms? Also, yet another weapon the bad guys pull out that could have ended this a whole lot earlier. Also, DC police might be bad, but this is the most negligent police force since the NOPD in X-Men Origins Wolverine. Steve jumps out of the bus and what do you know, his shield is lying right there. Tardiness. Also, gotta give Sam something to do, right? Why not leave one guy on the bridge who has no business being up here so he can fight him? Bad guys keep shooting at Cap's shield as he walks towards them and uses said shield to deflect bullets and kill them all, instead of, shooting at his legs. Also, sure was convenient to the run length of this movie that the Winter Soldier decided to go after Natasha instead of killing Cap himself right here and now. Police response time? Just shy of a pizza delivery. Hey, remember when you were on top of the car a minute ago? Dropping one of these babies in it and simply jumping off the car would have been an easy thing to do to accomplish your mission. Do any of these people know what the way is to stay out of it? Man, they're shoehorning as many characters from the first movie as they can into this, aren't they? Next up, DNA strands of Hugo Weaving connected to an oak tree that talks. Also, surprise, except so not surprised that it makes you wonder why they even bothered to put this reveal so late in the film. Sam swoops in to save Cap because he totally knew where these guys were after being on top of the bridge the whole time. Ah, so Bucky escaped in the smoke of that explosion like a cheesy magician then? Gotcha. He's the Burt Winterstone soldier. Where the fuck have these assholes been the whole time? Hanging back? Yeah, I know he notices the chopper in a minute and tells them to put their guns down so they don't get on the news murdering Cap, but no one cared about the news during the whole Bucky thing. And no one knew about the chopper at this point when they're walking up telling him to get on his knees. So what the fucking fuck?
Not you.
But maybe in the van on the way over to wherever you're going, right?
We need to get a doctor here.